Hello, I'm Granville Emerson, and welcome to Lidline Sports. Today, I'm flying alone. Renault Pepe Bean, is not here today, taking care of some things he needs to take care of. But we'll see what we can do. Just me and you, live on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's good to be back in the city of Seattle. It is hot, and I mean hot. For Seattle, I just left Las Vegas at the big AAU tournament. We'll talk about a lot that went down over the past 5 days there as it relates to AAU basketball. We'll talk NFL training camp. Seahawks just signed Cam Chancellor to a 3-year contract extension. Bam Bam Cam back on the prowl with new money. Looking forward to that. And we'll talk about what's going on around in the NFL. Of course, the nightly reality show we'll talk about in the NBA, the reality show that I like to call NBA Basketball Dudes. All this Kyrie, LeBron, Melo stuff. Melo's chick or ex-wife had a short part on Power this week. But the time before that, ooh-wee, did y'all see Layla? That's grown folks stuff. Anyway, I want to pick up where we left off last week on this article that appeared in the Seattle Times on homeless students drawn to Seattle schools by sports that are often cast aside after the season's over. So there's this rule, it's like a 16-year-old rule called the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act. And it seems like some schools have been taking advantage of this rule and getting kids to list themselves as homeless in order to qualify to go to their school. Traditionally, if you transfer from one school to another, there is no rule that says that you cannot transfer from one school to the other in Seattle solely on sports reasons. So if you think you have a better chance of playing at Franklin and you want to go to, or you actually go to Chief Sealth and you think you have a better chance of playing at Franklin or vice versa, if you move into that school's boundary, you can play and not have to sit out a year. But the McKinley-Vento Act allows students to list themselves as homeless and then be able to go to whatever school they want to go to. And so some schools, according to this article, have found their way around that rule and have been getting basketball and football players predominantly to go to their schools and play on their teams without actually having to sit out a year. The rule, since 2013, in 2013-14, there were 49 high school athletes that were categorized as homeless. In the year 2016-17, there were 129 kids that were classified as homeless. Homeless student athletes attended every traditional high school in the city: Ballard, Chief Sealth, Cleveland, Franklin, Garfield, Ingram, Nathan Hale, Rainier Beach, Roosevelt, and West Seattle. Though not every school has come under question. The school most under question has been Garfield High. And a large percentage of Garfield High's football team over the 2016-17 year was made up largely of homeless players. Now, the rule itself is good, but the bending of the rule to get kids to come to your school to play is wrong. Those coaches, parents, or whatever who say that we did this to give our kid a better opportunity to play and to get a look to go to college, I understand that. I understand trying to put your kid in the best situation possible for them to succeed. I do have a problem, however, when the kids are used and then discarded. There's a lot being said that kids are being recruited to these schools and they are not even attending class. That is terribly wrong. We cannot use our youth like that. I don't know if it's really going on, but if it is going on like that, that is totally wrong and unjust and not doing anybody any good. What good does it do for you to win a high school championship that's littered by a bunch of kids that can't get out of high school, that will be no good to society? You have a number of cautionary tales coming from this whole situation. There's Deshaun Tucker, a basketball star. He played at Federal Way. I coached against him when I'm a coach at Seattle Prep, so I coached against Federal Way's basketball team when Deshaun Tucker was there. And then his senior year, he transferred to Garfield, was listed as homeless, and won a state championship with the Garfield Bulldogs. Now, Tucker's 21, and he's in jail. He had a dream to play in the NBA. That dream was fueled by his winning the state championship at Garfield, and then because he didn't have the grades to go to a Division I school, he ended up going to a junior college, and then eventually found his way back to Seattle, not playing basketball, and then got caught up in a bad situation where he broke into someone's home and found himself in jail. That's one story of what happened. But there are many stories. There's a story about the kid that came from Texas and played on the Garfield football team, and then they sent him back, a booster sent him back to Texas for Christmas, and then left him there and didn't pay for him to come back, and he found his own way back to Seattle, and now I believe is enrolled at interagency and trying to get his degree. That's one side of the story. I have someone close to me who works as a counselor at Garfield, and she told me that it's not all their fault because the kids stopped coming to school. Well, if the kids stop coming to school, that's one thing. Coaches are responsible for kids and making sure that they go to class and making sure that they get the grades that they need to stay eligible. That's every coach at every school. That's their job. If those athletes play for them, their role as a coach and a mentor is to get kids eligible to play. And the first thing that you must do in order to get eligible is to go to class. That's the first thing you must do. And so this is a travesty going on in Seattle. I mean, it's so big that it was actually portrayed or covered by ESPN's Outside the Lines. So the nation knows what's going on in Seattle, and it's not painting Seattle in a good light, especially as it relates to sports. So I hope that we get this together. Mike Colbree is the president of the WIA, that's the Washington Interscholastic Athletic Association, says that they don't have enough manpower to actually investigate all the occurrences of people trying to get around this rule to get homeless players listed as homeless. We all know Seattle has a dire homeless problem. Some kids are legitimately homeless, but because a kid is transient, that means he's going from one parent to another, or from one relative to another, or from one house to another, that you can list them as homeless and then get them to come to recruit them to come to your school. That has to be analyzed and kind of dealt with, and it really needs to be a situation where coaches are really concerned about their character more than winning, and also concerned about the athlete themselves, and making sure that if you have an athlete come to your school and he was listed as homeless, that it's legit, and that while he's at your school, that you try everything within your power to make sure that that kid gets to class and gets the education that he needs to graduate from high school. And if he has the talent to go on and play in college, that he's afforded that opportunity, and that his grades are not what's keeping him back from doing so. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go forward and see what comes of all of that, if there are any penalties assessed to any schools that are involved in that. You're listening to Lidline Sports. I'm Granville Emerson, missing my partner today, Renault Pepe Bean. I just got back from Las Vegas, AAU basketball, the big international tournament, about 11 years straight that I've coached the team down there. Coached the 16U team, that's 16 and under, for Friends of Hoop organization, one of the top organizations in the state of Washington. What I noticed about the AAU this year is the emphasis on zone defense. Too many teams were playing too much zone D. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, my team, I admit my team was not the most athletic team. 16 years old, I didn't even have a player on my team that could actually dunk in a game, maybe in warm-ups, but not in a game. And we came out and we played like the California Supreme, which is one of the top AAU teams in the country, one of the top programs in the country, and EYBL, that's the Nike League. It's in the Nike League where they have all the elite teams play, or a lot of the elite teams play. And these cats came out and played us zone D. I'm like, what are you doing? You got all that length and all that speed and all that athleticism, and you're playing zone against us? Man, that's ridiculous to me. And I think every team that we played during that tournament at some point played zone against us. None of them needed to play zone. They didn't even need to pick us up full. They could have played half-court man-to-man D, tough D, and stopped us from scoring. But we ended up winning our pool because they decided to play zone D and allowed us to accentuate the strength that we had, which was three-point shooting. So if they didn't rotate to us fast enough, that bucket was going in. And so we were able to win our pool and get to the quarterfinals. And then when we got to the quarterfinals, we did not win because a team decided that they would out-athlete us and just pick us up full court, pressure us, play us man-to-man, not give us open looks. And we did not win. But it was a good week down there. Before our quarterfinal game, Seattle Rotary 16, played probably the most epic AAU game that I had ever seen. They lost in 7 overtimes. Yeah. Not just 1, not just 2, 3, 4, 5, not 6, but 7 overtimes. So to give you some understanding of how overtime works in AAU, the first overtime is 2 minutes long. And then the second overtime is 1 minute, and every overtime thereafter is only 1 minute. And so both teams decided after the first overtime that they were going to try to run the clock down and take the last shot. Well, in Seattle, we have a 35-second clock in high school. It is hard to waste the 35-second clock in high school basketball, let alone 60 whole seconds. So what you had, folks, was a bunch of turnovers, which led to fouls, which led to free throws, which led to missed free throws, which led to 7 well, 6 overtimes. Let me tell you what happened in the 6th overtime that led to the 7th overtime. Seattle Rotary was at the free throw line. They were up by 2. One of their players makes the first free throw. They're up by 3. There's about 2.5 seconds left. And he misses the free throw. The other team gets the rebound, makes one pass. The guy just chucks the ball the entire length of the floor. It banks off the backboard and goes straight through the net as the buzzer sounds, and the game is tied and goes in to the 7th overtime, and Rotary loses in the 7th overtime. Jamal Williams, my ex-assistant coach, was coaching the Seattle Rotary 16s team. My heart goes out to you. What a tough way to lose. I thought you had the game won when you all were up 3. I was happy to see you advance. But that crazy full-length court shot, it was hard to come back from that. I thought y'all deserved to win. That was a tough one. But hey, that's how it goes down in the world of sports. Much talk and much to do was going on in Las Vegas, especially during the Adidas tournament. We played, Seattle Rotary and Friends of Who played in the Bigfoot tournament, which is mostly Nike teams. The other tournament was the Adidas tournament, which featured LaMelo Ball, Lonzo Ball's little brother, and LeVar Ball's son. In the Adidas tournament, there was a game where LaMelo Ball played against Zion Williamson, who is one of the top players in high school. And if you've never seen Zion Williamson, I encourage you to YouTube this young man. He is the most ridiculous high school dunker that I have ever seen. And for him to only be 16 years old is crazy. The athleticism and the physical attributes that that young man has at 16 years old. LaMelo and Zion went at it. The gym was packed. You could not get in. Matter of fact, heard that LeBron James showed up to the game, and they would not let LeBron into the game for security reasons because they would not be able to control the crowd that was just pressed all around the court to see these two young high school players. Zion Williamson's team beat LaMelo Ball's team during that game, and it was a showcase to see all over the news and broadcast on television in the city of Las Vegas. It was crazy. The week was not without the clown show that is LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball had a referee taken out of his game and replaced because he didn't like the way she was refereeing. What? Are you serious? Like, he complained that the ref was unqualified to referee his game and had her dismissed. Well, come to find out that the ref was more than qualified. She not only refereed elite high school games, but she refereed college games. So not only did he get her dismissed under false pretenses, he lied on her credentials. So you know what happened? Adidas and the Referees Association are now at odds because the Referees Association has now ended the relationship with Adidas and the Adidas AAU tournament. all because of LeVar Ball's ego that he really needs to get in check. I'm all for LeVar Ball and his love for his sons and his desire for his sons to have his own shoe. But when he starts doing things like he did in Las Vegas, talking about a lady referee, saying she's unqualified, saying she doesn't need to be a ref, all that kind of stuff is unnecessary and counterproductive. LeBron James' son played down at the AAU tournament, and LeBron coached his team. It was good to see LeBron coach his own son. They didn't win one game, but they got blown out. But that's how it goes. I mean, if you're a coach, people are laughing because LeBron was upset that his son's team got blown out. Yeah, well, you'd be upset if your son's team got blown out too. My son's team has gotten blown out, and we blew some people out too. That's basketball. If you coach basketball long enough, I tell coaches all the time, you're going to be on both ends of that spectrum. You're going to get blown out, and you're going to be blown out. That's just the way it goes. CP3 coached his own team down there too. That's good. I don't know why more players don't coach AAU teams. A lot of them are sponsoring AAU teams. I think any player that wants to get into coaching, it would be good to sponsor an AAU team and to coach your AAU team. It would be good for you to get the experience. It would be good for the players to get knowledge of the game from you. Problem with AAU coaches and coaching is a lot of coaches coach because they like the game and they don't really know a lot about it. I won't say a lot, but there are some. But you can tell when you can just straight out coach. But to have an NBA player as your head coach and to be able to teach you the game of basketball, to me, is a best case scenario. I would love to see more players not just sponsor AAU teams, but to coach AAU teams as well. So I had a good time in Vegas. I had a good time watching basketball, coaching basketball, watched my nephew, Sammy Taylor, who played for Seattle Rotary 5th grade, play in the quarterfinals and semifinals. They beat the Oakland Soldiers in a game that I watched. It was good to see him play and get out there and do his thing, and we'll be in the gym trying to work on his game. But the kids coming up are really, really phenomenal basketball players. The Texas team that he played in the semifinals, oh my goodness. They had a kid in the 5th grade, about 6'3", that was skilled. Their guards were real skilled, handled the basketball. They had this one kid, I don't know the kid's name, he was in the 5th grade. He controlled the game like he was CP3. I mean, the kid had handles, he had poise, he made the right pass at the right time. They were unselfish and shared the basketball. They were actually a joy to watch. I love teams that are unselfish and share the basketball. There is no secret why the Golden State Warriors are the NBA champions. There's no secret why Kevin Durant was able to go to the Warriors and them win the championship in the first year. Because they share the basketball. There are 3 things that you must do to win a basketball game. Number 1 is share the basketball. Number 2 is rebound. And number 3 is defend. If you can do those 3 things well, you stand a great chance of winning the basketball game. So I just have to say to all of you that are coaching out there and all of you that are playing out there, if you want to have a great basketball team, emphasize those 3 things. Share the basketball, rebound, and defend. That's my philosophy. And you can see the teams that don't share the basketball that play a lot of one-on-one. And when you are successful at the one-on-one game, you may win a game or two, but you'll see them get to a game where the other team has talent like they do, and they're sharing the basketball, and the team that is not sharing the basketball and is playing one-on-one and ISO and all of that, they are just dependent on those shots going in. And if those shots don't go in, they're going to lose. Cleveland Cavaliers, 4 games to 1, losing to the Golden State Warriors. And I said before that season started, the only way they were going to win is if they defend and hold the Golden State Warriors under 100 points. They didn't. They allowed Golden State to average 122 points per game. So at whatever level, it's share the basketball. AAU, high school, college, NBA, whatever it is. When we come back from this break, we'll talk NFL, Seahawks, and more right here on Lidline Sports, live on RadioAvenueRadio.world. Just me today, Granville Emerson. We'll be right back. Don't go away. To Lidline Sports, I am Granville Emerson, flying solo today. NFL training camps are open. Seahawks finally head into training camp. Missing their first pick in this year's draft, defensive lineman Malik McDowell, who did not report due to an injury sustained in a car accident. The injuries are not serious. The doctor just wanted to hold McDowell back in Michigan for a few days before they sent him to Seattle to attend training camp. So we look forward to Malik McDowell getting into camp and seeing the impact that he's going to have on our D-line. We also talked about Cam Chancellor signing a 3-year contract, re-upping Cam for another 3 years. The Seahawks needed to do that. We talked about that on the show. Glad to see that happening, and glad to see that has happened. We also are glad to see that fullback Marcel Reese has been re-signed to the Seattle Seahawks, my fraternity brother in Omega Psi Phi. Marcel Reese, I think he brings so much multi-dimensionality to the Seahawks backfield. He can catch out of the backfield. He can block. He can run. So glad to see that they re-signed him and also re-signed linebacker Mike Morgan to the Seahawks squad. Morgan has been with the Seahawks since he was drafted 7 years ago. Seahawk camp, Jeremy Lane has been fantastic during Seahawk camp, so look for him to start at the opposite corner from Richard Sherman. They're saying he's on fire right now. Luke Jokel, offensive lineman, they say is doing well in camp and has added great flexibility to the Seahawks offensive line. And Jimmy Graham is looking real good, and we need Jimmy Graham to look real good. We need Russell Wilson to find Jimmy Graham this year. And Doug Baldwin is always a staple in that passing attack. So that's what's going on at Seattle Seahawks camp right now. All of the Seattle Seahawks camps are open to the public but are sold out. There are 11 training camp dates on the schedule, but they will be broadcasting them live. So if you go to SeattleSeahawks.com or Seahawks.com, they will be broadcasting training camps live over the internet. So if you want to view that, you can do that. Around the NFL, Brandon Marshall says that Odell Beckham Jr. is the best player in the league. Ha! What? Well, ODB is definitely one of the best wideouts in the league. But we know he is far from being the best player in the league. The best player, Brandon? I think he's just saying that because Brandon is with the New York Giants this year and he's teammates with Odell Beckham. And so he's trying to, get on his good side and be a good teammate and all of that. But, I'm taking Julio Jones before ODB, and I'm taking Antonio Holmes before I take ODB. That's just the way I roll on any day. And I'm probably taking A.J. Green before ODB, come to think of it. So, I don't know, Brandon. You can make that statement, but it doesn't hold much water. And it's just like you just throwing something out there for the New York media to eat up. So, hey, okay. The number one quarterback in the NFL draft, the first quarterback selected, Mitch Trubisky out of North Carolina, fumbled 6 times in the Bears' first scrimmage. What? Was he nervous? He fumbled. I mean, you can't take the snap from center? Like, come on, folks. You just take the snap from center. You go, blue 42, hut, and you catch the ball. Like, what? He fumbled 6 times. Like, who does that? He's the first quarterback picked. I told y'all, he wouldn't have been my first quarterback pick. The Ravens, in need of a QB after starting quarterback Joe Flacco was hurt, signed an Arena League quarterback named David Olson. Then they cut him after 3 days, and then signed somebody named Josh Woodrum instead of Colin Kaepernick. Josh Woodrum. Has anybody heard of him? Josh Woodrum. Can you tell me where Josh Woodrum went to school? Can you tell me where Josh Woodrum played? Anybody? Anybody? I mean, Josh Woodrum, you got relatives out there? Can any of your relatives tell me Josh Woodrum's stats? I mean, they signed Josh Woodrum to back up Ryan Mallett. Can anybody tell me what the heck Ryan Mallett has done? Has he won a playoff game? Did he take anybody to a NFC or AFC championship? Did Ryan Mallett go to the Super Bowl? Did he play in the Super Bowl? Can anybody tell me that? Huh? Can you? So, hit me, comment, facebook.com, or email me at lidlinesports@yahoo.com and tell me if you've heard of Josh Woodrum, or if you could tell me if Ryan Mallett, who is number one on the depth chart right now for the Baltimore Ravens, has won a playoff game, been to a championship game, or played in the Super Bowl. Okay? Because these are the dudes that they're going with instead of Colin Kaepernick. So what's hilarious to me, and I say hilarious because it's one of those deals where you are sad to keep from crying, that there's a meme going around on social media, and it has a picture of Colin Kaepernick kneeling on top, and the caption says, what people think or why people think no one is signing Kaepernick. And then it has another picture below, and the caption says, the real reason no one is signing him. And it shows Kaepernick and a game where he has 5 completions on 10 attempts for 33 yards and 4 interceptions. And they say that's the real reason why no one is signing Colin Kaepernick, because he can't play anymore. Well, that doesn't tell you the whole story. The whole story is that he threw 16 touchdowns last year and only 4 interceptions. Oh, he had a bad game. But hell, he was playing on a bad team. His bad team was one of the worst in the NFL. But the real reason why no one is signing Colin Kaepernick is this. They asked Colin Kaepernick why he was sitting. Understand this, folks. Kaepernick had been sitting for at least 2, maybe 3 games. There was not a problem. It wasn't until a reporter asked Colin Kaepernick why he was sitting, and Colin Kaepernick gave this response, and I quote, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color," end quote. That is the reason why Colin Kaepernick is not being signed by NFL teams. Because he took a stand for black people who are being oppressed around the country. Many people are mad at Kaepernick because they say he's disrespecting the flag, because he's disrespecting the anthem. They don't take heed to the words that he said. They don't take heed to or are compassionate or understanding or want to be understanding about the great number of innocent people who are gunned down by police, who become judge, jury, and executioner and get away with killing people and still remain on the force. That's a problem. That's a problem in America. And I've said that if people of color are being killed by police and they get away with it, that is emboldening police to kill people without impunity. What happens when that translates or transfers over to white Americans? Or as was the case in Minnesota, where the white Australian lady was shot and killed by a cop. Right? So why is it just people of color that can get killed by cops and cops are able to get away with it and we should not say anything about it? And then when Colin Kaepernick stands up to say something about it, then he's ostracized and told that he should not be playing in the NFL. And people want to move on from that. They're tired of it. They're tired of hearing about Colin Kaepernick. Won't he just go away? That's what I've been reading today. Why don't the Colin Kaepernick story just go away? Who cares? He doesn't deserve to play. He wouldn't stand for the national anthem. Well, those people that say that, pretty much them jokers are in a beer line during the anthem. That might be why they're standing. And then the other thing is, we've got a Russian spy would-be traitor in the White House that people are making excuses for. So this is very hypocritical to me, that you're going to ostracize this man who's standing up for people and giving voice to the voiceless and executing his First Amendment right, but for some reason, he's a villain. Well, I like what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had to say about it. Kareem wrote an article in the Hollywood Reporter, and Kareem said, and I quote, "The desired effect is to deter other NFL players from speaking out, which is about as un-American as you can get." Goes on to say, NFL superstars must defend athletes like Colin Kaepernick through boycotts or other means of persuasion. Some players already have joined them, including Eric Reed, Kenny Britt, Robert Quinn, Brandon Marshall, Antoine Bethea, and Eli Harold. But they add up to less than 24 out of about 1,700 players. Where is the support from the other players, especially the white players, who make up most of the top 10 highest paid players in the league? Kareem says that the players should come together and stick up for Kaepernick. This would, and I quote, "That's what we need to do to prevent the headless, quiet athlete from becoming the NFL player's logo," with the caption, "At least I got mine." Let that sink in. I got mine. Is that where we are today? When somebody stands up for theirs, we don't want to stand up with them because we're so worried about ours. I got mine. I'm not worried about him. Not worried about what he's doing. That's why I've chosen to boycott this NFL season if Kaepernick is not signed. Because somebody needs to stand with Kaepernick. He's not done anything wrong. He hasn't killed anybody. He hasn't hurt anybody. Hasn't beaten anybody. He hasn't done anything. He's done good. He's done goodwill. He's given his money. He's given his time. He's given effort to a cause to help people. Stand with Kaepernick. Let's boycott the NFL. I can't believe that the Baltimore Ravens owner won't sign Colin Kaepernick because he allegedly held some type of fan forum where people told him that they didn't want Kaepernick because he didn't stand for the flag. Really? And now people want to say that there's two things. One, Kaepernick can't play. That's a lie. His QBR, quarterback rating, is in the top 30. And there's 32 teams in the league with backups, so there's at least 64 other quarterbacks in the league that he's better than at least half of those. So it's not because he can't play. Then they say that he's not patriotic. It has nothing to do with patriotism. He sat because he wasn't going to stand for the flag because of what was going on in America. I feel the same way sometimes. If you don't empathize, if you don't try to have compassion, if you don't try to understand what's going on and it has gone on with black people in America because you're another race, well, then you really don't understand what's going on, and what you say really is not relevant and it's not true if you don't try to understand it and then speak from a position of understanding. Okay? If you just fly off the handle and say, oh, he's just disrespecting the flag, but you don't acknowledge all of the police killings and all of the disenfranchisement of black people, where it's hard for black people to buy a house in certain neighborhoods, that voting areas have been redistricted and redlined, that banks and loan companies charge black people higher interest loans simply because they're black. If you don't understand that these things go on in America, and these are the things that Colin Kaepernick has sat down and kneeled to bring attention to, and it's more about a symbol, about a flag to you, well, that's the problem in America. That's what keeps us divided. That's what keeps us from being the best country we can be. Sports is a microcosm. If the United States could be like a team where it really didn't matter what color you were, but that you helped the team win, we'd be a better country. But now, because we're not like that as a country, that schism is now trickling into sports and denying Colin Kaepernick the right to work because of our racial prejudice and hatred. Colin Kaepernick has not done anything wrong. People want Colin Kaepernick to go away. They don't want him to play. I think we should all take a stand. I can't make you all do anything. But I would hope that we would take a stand like I hope players would take a stand with Colin Kaepernick, and that fans would take a stand with Colin Kaepernick. They put out Baltimore put out that fans don't want to watch NFL games if Colin Kaepernick plays. That's a lie. They'll still be watching. At the height of Colin Kaepernick's protest, his jersey was the number one selling jersey. At the height of his protest. Now, even without a team, his jersey is number 39. The most sold jersey, number 39. He's still selling jerseys and he doesn't even have a team. So you can't tell me folks will not watch the NFL if Colin Kaepernick plays. Matter of fact, you'll have people watch the game, and especially watch his game, hoping he'll fail, and then you'll have those that hope that he does well. So you'll bring more eyeballs to the NFL if somebody signs Colin Kaepernick. Struggled through that. Hope you heard what I said. Hope the Seahawks have enough guts to sign Colin Kaepernick and put this nonsense to bed and not allow the NFL owners to run the NFL like it's a plantation and try to make an example out of Colin Kaepernick. That's my hope. That is my desire. Share your comments with me on Facebook and at Lidline Sports at yahoo.com. This is Lidline Sports, and I'm Granville Emerson, live on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. On to the NBA. Much was made of Kyrie and Steph imitating LeBron's workout. I don't know if you saw that. But the internet was up in arms about it, saying that Kyrie was dissing LeBron and he needs to be traded and whatever. It's just a soap opera, y'all. Just a soap opera. Kyrie will be traded. I predict that Kyrie gets traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's my prediction. There are a number of different scenarios of where he might go. We'll be watching to see where Kyrie ends up. I don't know. There's been this talk about a 3-team trade involving Kyrie and a number of other players. So it's a 3-team trade with the Knicks, the Cavaliers, and the Timberwolves. The Knicks received Kyrie Irving. And what the heck happened here? And the Cavaliers receive, let's see. I got a little technical difficulties going on right here, but we'll be right with you in a moment. The Knicks received Kyrie Irving and Cole Aldrich and Nemanja Bjelica. Cavaliers received Carmelo Anthony and Andrew Wiggins. And the Timberwolves received Kevin Love and possibly Frank Ntilikina. This could be the first time in NBA history that the same players were part of a trade that sent them back to their original teams. But if there's a holdup in the deal, it might be that the Timberwolves want a draft pick thrown in, and considering they lost their pick in the Jimmy Butler deal, the only way to receive a pick is contingent on how well the Oklahoma City Thunder do over the next 2 seasons, because the pick is 1 through 14 protected. So we'll see if that 3-team trade actually happens, and we'll keep an eye on all of that and see where Kyrie goes and where Melo ends up. Melo said the other day that he didn't want to go to Cleveland. We'll see. CP3 and James Harden rocked the Drew League. They played together in the Pro Summer League in Los Angeles, actually in Compton, where the pros go every year to play. And it seems like they work well together. So we'll see how well that translates into the NBA season. What's going down in the town? Michael Porter Jr., the high school phenom at Nathan Hale High School, the kid that won the Gatorade Player of the Year, National High School Player of the Year. His team won the number one team, high school team of the year. Came back to Seattle, or I guess they still have a home here in Seattle, but he's going to the University of Missouri. Played in the Jamal Crawford Pro-Am and lit it up. Michael Porter Jr. scored 47 points, had 23 rebounds, and 4 blocks against grown men at the Jamal Crawford Pro-Am. I YouTubed that joint. Ooh-wee, he was getting buckets and throwing people's stuff out. This one dude trying to guard him had no chance of guarding Michael Porter Jr. You can tell in the Jamal Crawford Pro-Am what kids actually have game to go on and play in high school and go on and play in the NBA. Tony Roten Jr. lit up the Jamal Crawford Pro-Am. DeJounte Murray lit up the Jamal Crawford Pro-Am. And I was telling everybody that both those two dudes needed to go hardship after their freshman year because they were NBA-type players. Michael Porter Jr. will be the number one pick in the NBA draft next year. Mark my word on that. Michael Porter Jr. If you have an opportunity and you want to see some NBA stars, because we have no NBA team in Seattle, head out to Royal Brome Pavilion on the campus of Seattle Pacific University on Saturday and Sunday to the Jamal Crawford Pro-Am. You'll be able to see people like Michael Porter Jr. You'll be able to see Jamal Crawford and other NBA stars do their thing. Thank you all for listening to Lidline Sports. Tried to make it through today by myself on the solo live on RainierAvenueRadio.world. Fighting with a summer cold, nothing worse than a summer cold, but I think I made it. Hope you enjoyed it. On behalf of Renault Pepe Bean, who's hopefully back next week, I'm Granville Emerson. Thank you for listening to Lidline Sports. You can listen to Lidline Sports on RainierAvenueRadio.world, Facebook, YouTube, and find us on Twitter at Lidline Sports. Join us again next week for more great sports talk. Radio on Lidline Sports. Sports as we see it from just below our lid. Holla.